Big surprise. I have a story about teaching tonight. So, I was a biology teacher and dabbled in some other sciences. And my favorite part about teaching was labs, outside experiences, experiments, things like that, which are difficult. There's a lot of planning. To me, they had to go with your lessons. You didn't just do an experiment just for the heck of it, or that would be great. And then there's the safety thing, because in the best case scenario, I'm supposed to return students to their parents better than I got them. So you try and think of everything as a teacher to keep your students safe. Even the ones, never mind. You want to keep them all safe. So we had just finished this unit on energy and living things. And let me tell you, boy, that's a great one. The mitochondria, which is like the only thing people remember from biology. And they'll go, powerhouse of the cell. Cellular respiration and photosynthesis. Oh, boy, those topics will keep you awake at night. And the Krebs cycle. My, oh, my. And don't forget the Calvin cycle. That's good, too. But we just finished this unit. So now we're going to do an experiment with the energy contained in a living thing. And I wanted students to figure out how many calories are in a peanut. Now, yeah, we could look it up, but we're going to actually burn a peanut, and they made their own calorimeters, which is the equipment to catch the heat. I gave them an aluminum can, and they could modify it however they wanted to catch the heat. And we wanted to see how close we could get to the actual calorie value of the peanut per gram. So I used the lab room across from me. It was newer. My classroom at the time was state-of-the-art, 1958. This is in the 90s, 1990s, not 1890s. So my classroom was a little bit behind the times. There was a hole in the floor where we could look down and see the students in German class. Sometimes students would drop pencils down on them. I did not encourage that, by the way. But I used the newer classroom beside us where it had computer probes and all this fancy stuff that you could get in the 90s. So we set up our calorimeters. We did some test burning, didn't really do any measuring, had water in there, and I told them, if your water boils, you're done, because boiling water will only get up to 100 degrees Celsius. It doesn't get any hotter than that. The steam will get hotter. So if your water boils, you have to use more water. And I didn't tell them anything. I said, you're designing an experiment. It's like real science. And I thought, man, I had everything thought out. So lab day comes, we're going to actually do the experiment for real. We're going to measure, and everybody's ready to go. And students know, if you miss a lab, they're like impossible to make up. What, are you going to stay after school and burn your peanuts? I'm not staying. So I encourage students, make sure and be there. Don't skip school that day. Don't go out for breakfast that day, so on and so forth. Sure enough, I had a student who woke up late. And he panicked and got dressed quick and threw on some dirty clothes and comes buzzing into school. He came rolling in about 10 minutes late. That's just on time. So we get started. All of a sudden, the center of this classroom was kind of open, and there was a table in the center where I could put lab supplies. All of a sudden, this student moves out from his lab bench, and he's pulling off his clothing. His sweater comes off, his T-shirt comes off, and then he's rolling on the floor. I'm like, Matt, because that was his name. What's going on? And he's beating at himself. He goes, I'm on fire. I didn't see any fire. Here, the flame that was burning him was clear. Turns out, after some more experimentation, we actually took some fabric and tried to see if the fabric was flammable. It wasn't the fabric. When he got up that morning, he grabbed the clothing that was on the floor. it wasn't clean. So to freshen up a little bit, he sprayed some Axe on. Apparently, he sprayed a lot of Axe on. Axe is very flammable. There was so much Axe on his sweater that his sweater caught on fire, and it burns clear. We tried it. It was pretty cool. So, yeah, I didn't think about that. I never said to my students, don't spray Axe on before you come to lab. And then the funny thing is, one of my best friends, we ride bike together. I'm telling her this story. She goes, hold on here. I heard this story before. And she goes, was that Matt? And I'm not going to use his last name, but it was gross. Was that Matt G? I said, yeah. She goes, well, I met him in college, and he told me this story. So, safety first. If you're a teacher, make sure you tell your students before lab not to use their Axe. Come to school stinky.